Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to All Things Division 3 Soccer with SimpleCoach and Missing Jackie. Yeah. Hey, Happy New Year. Hope you had a wonderful holiday, Christmas, Festivus, Hanukkah, whatever you end up celebrating. Regardless, I hope you had a wonderful time. It is the new year, and I decided to do this video, and it's coming out on today, January 1st. So, hey, this is the big one. This is probably one of my favorites, probably one of the hardest ones I do, but today's very special. And I think this is one where if you're fans of the game, if you're players, you coaches, you definitely don't want to miss, because we are spotlighting the 38, and this year it's 38 best players in Division 3 men's soccer, as selected by you know who, me. So over the course of this episode, I'm just going to go through the list of who I thought were the 38 best players who kind of dominated and, were stood out to me, right? Like, I'm telling you right now, it's purely subjective. So things I liked, thought, wow, this kid's got something to him. And the worst part is I probably missed some, but there are certain rules that I stick to, which I'll get to. But what does this class look like this year? I've done it for the last 3. So broken it down by, there are 5 goalkeepers, 11 defenders, 10 midfielders, and 12 forwards. Now, as part of the big comprehensive list, so this 38, there's no limit to the schools. I just sort of selected, tried to think about a roster. What would a roster look like? And yeah, this is probably a lot larger than what many would see in Division 3, by a lot. But I was surprised this year. I tried to be a little bit judicious and not just be like, oh, that kid was great, and just tried to really hone in, because I thought there was a lot of, among players, it was pretty, there's a really high level. It was really high level and distributed evenly across most schools. And to the fact that this year, the most number of players that came from any one school was 2. And it really wasn't by design. I really tried to look at these individual players and throughout the season and through my notes and my notebook, and again, just tried to be a little bit more judicious about it. Last year, as a case in point, if you go back to the video, I had, I think, maybe 5 schools with 3 or more. So definitely not the case this year. So 2 came from Denison, 2 from Mary Washington, 2 from Trinity down in Texas, and 2 from Williams, which always surprises me. But yeah, and so you don't. I'll go through the list of all of them because I think they're all worth highlighting. But you're gonna want to stay tuned, because the last thing I'll do is I'm just going to unveil the best 11. So the ultimate Division 3 dream team as conjured up by me, and what I think would be the strongest team out there. And that's not to say like you couldn't jumble it and pick another 11. These are just the ones where I'm like, man, if I was putting together a team, this is what I want to do. But as I always do, there are rules that I try to stick to, which make it a lot more complicated than it should be. Like, I almost wish I could be like the United Soccer coaches, where I just sort of like pick some guys to make a first team, second team, third team, and really not think about like what it would look like on the field. So let me just run through the rules real quick. I've done it before, so this is pretty straightforward. Number 1, the most important thing, I personally have had to have watched them at some point during the season. Of the over 300 games that I counted that I watched to one degree or another, this fall, I'd had to have seen that player play. Usually, if I thought they were good enough, I probably watched them multiple times or watched their team multiple times for a whole host of reasons. Second, and I mentioned this, I tried to sort of construct it like I would a roster. So I just tried to be thoughtful about that. But then more importantly, my best 11, I actually built like this would be a starting 11 that I would want based on sort of their personality types and their abilities and sort of where I thought I could get flexibility from a player. It was more for my own entertainment, but it basically prevented me from constructing a team with 8 forwards and, stuff like that. So this is literally, it turns out to be like a 4-1-2-3, something like that, or 4-3-3. So third, they not necessarily have to be wedded to the positions they played during the season. There might be an outside back who I thought was really great getting forward. I might I'm not sure it applied so much this season, but I would be like, hey, they'd be a good winger, and maybe I would put him as a winger. So just keep that in mind. That's, like I said, I don't think that applied so much this year. Now, this is probably the biggest one because I leave a lot on the table, and I'm fully recognize that. But in the total list, like I mentioned, you can have multiple players from the same school. Like there was no limits on that. It could have gone, easily. I could have taken Amherst and taken 8 guys, but that's, taken 8 guys from Amherst or, Mary Washington or Connecticut. But in the best 11, no school can be represented more than once. So there are 11 players representing 11 individual schools. And let me tell you how hard that made it, right? Because you're making judgment calls on players that I always say on the margins, who is better. And a lot of times it came down like, hey, look, I like this center back because he's a real center back than this other defender on a team because he's an outside back, and I think the outside back is not the position. I think there's an equally good player in the outside back that I could use that might be a little bit more dynamic than I think. So really, really made it hard for that. So, all right, so those were the rules. And with that, let's just jump right into first my top 38 players, and then, like I said, to the best 11. But let's begin with just the list of the top 38. Best 38. Why don't we begin with the goalkeepers, which there are some special players there. And like I mentioned, I have 5 goalkeepers that I chose. Some of these may not be a surprise. A couple of them I are because and just sort of how I think. But first up, I got to give who I thought for the number of years has done an outstanding job, and I think is a large contributor to their team success, and that's Peter Sylvester at Connecticut College. His all-region second team for the second time in a row. He's second team All-NESCAC. Just a remarkable goalkeeper. I think probably one of the best penalty kick keepers out there. Great on the shot stopping. Next up for me, and again, a surprising team that kind of surprised me. I thought they did a lot better than I thought they would this year. I thought there was another year before they would get to this point. Is Denison's goalkeeper Tommy Prokos, All-America third team, all-region first team, all-NCAC first team, all-NCAC all-tournament team. And again, same thing. I think Denison gets as far as it did because of the work he did in the pipes. Next up, and he's on the list because I thought for a freshman, just a remarkable, remarkable goalkeeper, and will only grow and get better. And so I could totally see Jason Villalobos from Otterbein becoming the next big goalkeeper. Second team all-region, OAC Keeper of the Year, OAC first team. For a freshman, it's pretty remarkable. Next up, probably should not surprise anyone. And I think he's by far obviously one of the best goalkeepers out there. Ben Diffley at Williams. It's all-region first team, four-team All-American. He's all NESCAC. Just one of the tops. And Williams has been successful over the last number of years, largely because he's been there. And then lastly, another goalkeeper that, again, team kind of surprised me, much to the chagrin of some fans out there. Walker White at Babson. He's a first team all-region for the third year in a row. First team all-NUMAC. He was NUMAC Defensive Player of the Year last year. And again, attribute Babson's success in the tournament because of him. Just a remarkable goalkeeper, and what a wall back there. And I think he's second in Division III in goals against average, save percentage. He's like eighth, and he's tied for first with 13 shutouts. So remarkable. All right, so those are the goalkeepers. Let's move on to the defenders. First up, I've liked this kid as a freshman. He's a senior now, that ought to tell you. Liam Giblin, defender from Catholic. He's second team All-American. His first team All-Landmark. He's also a smart kid because he made the conference academic honor roll. So, up next, from Colorado, Curtis Hale. He's All-American. He's all-region first team for 3 consecutive seasons. He's a SCAC Defensive Player of the Year. And he was all-region first team. So, again, another remarkable ball player. This time I'll go to Michigan from Hope College. Cole Pauley, all-region first team. He's the was it the Michigan Indiana Athletic Association Most Valuable Player, and he's all MIA first team. This guy is remarkable. He's a midfielder, ended up playing defender, and when he moved to defender, it changed sort of the outlook of Messiah, and that's Jarek Marlote. Defensive Player of the Year, first team MAC Commonwealth, first team All-Region. Scholar All-American, you name it. And I do think, like, largely he's been the guy at Messiah. So another ball player, this time from the NESCAC, defender Luke Madden from Middlebury. He's an All-American NESCAC Player of the Year, or Defender of the Year, I think. He's a first-team All-NESCAC, and he's all-region first team. He's a smart dude, too, because he made academic all-district, whatever that is. So, Luke Madden. Next up, Jack Miner from MIT, second-team NUMAC, all-conference, second-team all-region. And he's a stalwart in the back for MIT. He's a really impressive guy. Really, really impressive. Just like Montclair, I actually thought this year he matured a lot. I wasn't too keen on him last year, but that's Ian Chesney. He's all-region first team. He's a two-time NJAC Defender of the Year. He's all NJAC first team, and last year he was a second-team All-American. So pretty, which is funny, since I wasn't as high as him as I was this year. I thought Montclair righted the ship largely based on his play defensively. So next up, right back, remarkable ball player. I love this kid. Ethan Hagen from Stevens Institute of Technology. His first team all-region for the second time. And he was the Mac Freedom's second team. I think if you watch the games, whoever he was defending against was shut down. Next up, another remarkable ball player, this time from Trinity, John Connor Rule. Second team All-American, first team All-Region. He's a four-time All-SCAC selection. He made the All-Tournament team. He's the SCAC's defensive MVP. Again, has all the honors and accolades and really was a force to reckon with defensively. So, next up, this is another one I'm a fan of, and I just think I could rank him as the best defender in the country. Max Clivio, first team All-American, All-Region first team, NESCAC Defensive Player of the Year, all NESCAC. Next up, Felipe Gutierrez from Williams. Fast and strong. He's all conference, all region. He was captain. So I think he was one of the anchors for Williams. And now let's move to the midfielders. Those were the 11 defenders, and now let's on to the midfielders. First up from Babson. By the way, this is a category I love. Babson, Kento Abe, second team All-American, first team All-Region. I didn't know this, but he came from the University of Maryland. So a great pedigree and a great ball player. I just think he was just a remarkable general for Babson this year. Another player that I was impressed with, that really the team sort of I wasn't expecting, but Buffalo State midfielder Manuel Prieto. All region, all SUNYAC, basically broke all these records at Buffalo State. He's a captain, all tournament team, and big part of the success for Buffalo State, including beating Tufts in the tournament, was on him. So another impressive, Alex White from Calvin, all region. Scored 17 goals, all MIAA, and he was, so just again a remarkable midfielder, just like Mateo Mara from Cortland. It's an All-American. He's all-conference SUNYAC. He's all-tournament team and had MVP honors for the tournament. So all-region and first-team all-SUNYAC for the third year in a row. So again, he's been doing it for multiple years. Next up, for the second time, another Denison representative, Cameron Kist, NCAC Midfielder of the Year. NCAC first team, and he was all region selection. So never a year in which I don't choose somebody from Franklin and Marshall, and I don't know how to pronounce his name. Koa Kalibe, first team All American, first team All Region, first team All Centennial. He's also a smart dude because he's made the College Sports Communicators Academic All-American and a Scholar All-American. So another kid I really enjoyed watching multiple times out of the OAC, as much as it pains me, John Carroll, midfielder, Nicholas Greca, third team All-American, first team All-Region, first team All-OAC. This guy was the heart of John Carroll. So now shifting down to Baltimore to Johns Hopkins, Francis Mayer, second team All-American. He's All-Region, and he was the Centennial Conference Defensive Player of the Year last month. Just a remarkable ball player, one-step penalty kick taker, free kick specialist, pretty all-around great ball player. Just like, again, in the second player, or the first of two players, for Mary Washington, midfielder Nelson Castillo, first team All-American, first team All-Region. Mary Washington, the beating heart of Mary Washington is Nelson Castillo. Now, this next one might be full of controversy, but this kid is special. Like, that's one of those where you're like, this kid could become, I think, like a player of the year, to the level of someone like Victor Gallman. That's how good I think this kid is. Bastian Eikeland, midfielder from North Park. He's a freshman from Norway. His first team All-CCIW, newcomer of the year, third team All-Region. Remarkable, seriously remarkable ball player for being just a freshman. So that was the 10 midfielders that I chose, and now let's move on to our forwards, which was really hard. The inclination to really select lots of forwards was really, really great. Like, I felt like I could have picked 20 forwards, but I really had to be disciplined on this one. So first up, from Vassar, yes, Vassar, Jared Fisk. He was second team All-Liberty League, and he was third team All-American. And I think he's not only was he a good goal scorer, but he was also just like that forward-making playmaker. So just a really great forward. Next up, another one who I just was really impressed with is Amherst Mohamed Nuhu. He's fourth team All-American, first team All-NESCAC, All-Region, and in his first year, last year, I think he's a sophomore. He was co-rookie of the year, and really, really a force to be reckoned with. I mean, when he's down the wing, he is really good. He's really got great pace, great skills. So where they come up with them at Amherst, I have no idea, but he's quite the player. Another team that kind of surprised, but really another great forward from Dickinson, Saul Iwowo. I hope I pronounced that right. Sorry if I didn't. Second team All-American from London. First team All-Region. Centennial Conference Offensive Player of the Year. He had 16 goals this year. So, and again, Dickinson got where it got from its ability to score goals. Another player that I was really impressed with, again, just out of the woodwork, Luther College, Javier Pastor Valls. He was second team All-Region, scored 11 goals, 5 assists. They won, Luther, thanks to him, won their first regular season American Rivers Conference title. He was named the American Rivers Conference most offensive, most valuable player, and obviously all conference. So just another kid, really special ball player. I think can grow to be quite a force to reckon with for Luther. That's a great thing, right? Next up, second player for Mary Washington, another one, Carter Berg, All-American first team, third is All-Region, Coast to Coast Offensive Player of the Year, Coast to Coast first team. Scored 12 goals, 6 assists, leading the Coast to Coast Conference. Just again another, I thought, special player on and off the ball, and ability to create things out of nothing. So really proud of this next one. Think he's a special player. Carter Hancock from my Mount Union Purple Raiders. Second team All-American. He had 15 goals this year. He was Ohio Athletic Conference Forward of the Year, first team All-OEC, first team All-Region. So clearly he's going to be sorely missed for the Raiders. They're going to have to find goals to make up for him when he graduates. Good for him, though. Another ball player, this time from New Jersey, Rowan, Johnny Troiano. He's a third-team All-American. He's a smart dude because he was one academic All-American. He's All-Region, NJAC's Offensive Player of the Year. 16 goals, which led the NJAC. And yeah, just again, it's just a power force to be reckoned with. Next up, one-time defending champion from St. Olaf, Shea Bechtel. Second team All-American. He was the MIAA, Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Offensive Player of the Year for the second time. All-MIAC. Scored 13 goals, had 9 assists. This is like your classic forward midfielder type guy. And he was All-Region. And a second player chosen from Trinity, Adam Knutson, forward from Trinity. It's All-Region, 3-time All-SCAC, SCAC Offensive Player of the Year, Tournament Offensive MVP. And, 2 years ago, he was the Newcomer of the Year. So it's, again, another great forward. Which leads to this other one. From Wisconsin Superior, again, a Wisconsin kid, Jake Kidd. All-Region first team. He averaged like a goal a game. He had 24 goals. He's all-conference. He scored. He was the second most prolific goal scorer in Division III. And we'll talk about the number one scorer in Division III in a little bit. But remarkable. Again, Wisconsin Superior gets to where it is and becomes a little bit of a force to be reckoned with in the tournament, thanks to the performance of someone like Jake Kidd. So, which leads me to the next forward, I'm going to butcher this name, so I apologize. From Washington and Lee, Wayemi Agbayegbe. Oof. Second team All-American, first team All-Region, ODAC Player of the Year, ODAC First Team All-Tournament, ODAC All-Tournament Team. I mean, he's been a player to watch and one of the top ball players at Washington and Lee and in the ODAC for a number of years, but this year really sealed the deal. And I'd written off Washington and Lee early, but they really turned things around and under Coach Shabazz, and largely from the performance of players like Agbayegbe. So, and lastly, the next forward, which you can't deny, from Wisconsin, Wisconsin Eau Claire's Nathan Donovan, another accolade. He's Division III Player of the Year, first team All-American. He's a smart dude because he's a scholar, National Player of the Year, scholar All-American, academic, it's All-Region, won some Scholar Athlete Award with the WIAC, Offensive Player of the Year, first team All-WIAC. So the guy's got accolades, and like I said, leading scorer in Division III, and selections like this, they love goal scorers. So, but equally, again, Wisconsin Eau Claire's success was largely thanks to him, and suffered when they lost him, I think, in their last game in the tournament when they lost to Amherst. From injury, I think, if I recall. But so that was the top 38. Those are the best players that I watched and remember the rules I mentioned that I had to have seen personally play. Did I miss any? Quite possibly. Should I have picked someone else? Quite possibly. These are just my opinions. So, and with that, of those 38, who are the best 11, and who would be the team that I would select based on this? Well, here we go. All right, so let's turn our attention to the best 11, which is actually really, like I said, best 38 in my book, but, just to make it interesting. So again, just remember the rule. I can only have one player represent each school. So, with that, so my choice, starting in goal, I don't think there's much of a doubt. I think he's quite possibly, if not, is the best goalkeeper in the country as far as I'm concerned, and that's Ben Diffley at Williams. All-American, All-NASCAC, all of that. Just a fantastic, I'll just say, shot stopper, but also does a remarkable job controlling his box. So, on defense, on the left, so my left back, I would go with Max Clibio from Tufts. Again, left-footed and can get into the attack. So really like him there. In the center of the park, I would choose Luke Madden, the defender from Middlebury. The guy's a beast and an engine. So I just think he's, I just think he's the all-around best center back, without a doubt. And then on the right, I would go with the Colorado defender Curtis Hale, another one, another defensive player of the year, really talented on the ball. And, I think either one of those three could be center backs, but I just think this would make a strong back three, although it's kind of like a back four, because right in front of Luke Madden in the middle, I would go with Jarek Marlote from Messiah, who, started out the year, if I recall, as like a midfielder, and then they dropped him back, and that's sort of when Messiah's fortunes changed. So I just think I think he's got it all in terms of vision for the game and his defensive abilities. And I think when he needs to defend, he has that capability. When he needs to go forward, he has the vision to really make that happen. In the midfield, on the left, I'm going with Francis Mayer from Johns Hopkins. I think he's really talented on the ball. Dead balls, I think he's kind of a little bit of a specialist. But again, I just sort of like his ball control. In the middle, who I was really, really impressed with, I mean, he really does control the tempo of the team, is Nelson Castillo from Mary Washington. I just think he's an all-around, he is the all-around midfielder. And I think his distribution is on par with, is better than anyone. So, and because this is my team now, and this is who I'm selecting, and I'm looking for players that can really grow, and I'm thinking of all those things. This isn't a one-game thing. I'm actually going to go with the freshman out of North Park, Bastian Eikeland, as a right midfielder, would bring some energy and the ability to get forward. And again, just think he would be, that would be a cool thing, right? Like to have him out there with all these seasoned veterans and seeing how he hangs. So up top, it shouldn't surprise anyone. On the left, I have Mohamed Nuhu. Reminds me of the old style wingers that we don't see much of anymore, of gets the ball, puts his head down, and goes at it, and tries to get to goal. I think he would, the times that I've seen him when he seemed to be the most effective was when he was on the left. On the right, has been a fan of his for a while. The St. Olaf forward, Shea Bechtel. Again, I think he's a player who has the legs and the ability to work up and down the field. He definitely has a great touch on the ball. So really, if you're looking to drive balls in, I think he's the guy. And then up top, I mean, how can you deny, right? How can you deny? Nathan Donovan of Wisconsin Eau Claire. I mean, just put that guy in front of goal, he's going to find the back of the net. So I just think from that standpoint, you can't not give it to him. Just think he's all that, and has shown he's all that. So anyhow, so just to rehash, in goal, Ben Diffley out of Williams. On the left, defense, Max Clivio, Tufts. On the right, Curtis Hale from Colorado. In the middle, Luke Madden from Middlebury. In front of Luke Madden, Jarek Marlotte from Messiah. In the midfield, on the left, Francis Meyer. On the right, North Park midfielder Bastian Eikeland. In the center of the park, from Mary Washington, Nelson Castillo. And up top on the left, you have Amherst, Mohamed Nuhu. On the right, you have St. Olaf's Shea Bechtel. And up top, you have Nathan Donovan. And I would say, I mean, this is, if my global media empire ever big enough, one of the cool things I would want to do is actually select this team and actually have them play. I don't know when, right? Like in the spring game, and do something fancy. That would be cool. Taking these players and putting them in to play someone. I don't know. Maybe is there a Division I team like that, or somebody just to give them a little bit of a spotlight? I think that would be as cool as heck. Or maybe run them through a tournament. I mean, that would be. But I don't know. Global team media empire has some growth to do before I get to that spot. And then, obviously, I don't think I would be, quite frankly, the coach. I do think we would have to give it to who I would think is the coach of the year, who I've mentioned before, and I decided to stick to my guns. My coach of the year, Adrian College Bulldogs men's coach Charlie Miles, who took a team that maybe won a game or two a year, and this year got them to 11-4-2. Really, really great showing, and I think it's easy if I picked, Justin Serpone because he won the national championship, or Ruben Burke who with Connecticut. Yeah, I mean those are all. I don't doubt it. It requires great stuff, but this guy's deep in the trenches, and I think he showed he has the ability to organize a team. So, my coach of the year, Charlie Miles, out of Adrian. So. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this SimpleCoach Best 11, Best 38. I am sure, like I said, I've missed folks or I've misjudged. But I hope you enjoyed it. I really tried to put some thought into it, not just picking stats or who goes where. And I actually try to look at players and think, oh, did they impress me enough? And I keep a running tally as I go. I watch a game and I'll see, oh, that kid looks good, and try to keep a record of it and throughout the year. And there's certain names that sort of pop out, and those are the ones I selected pretty much represent that. And I try to highlight some of the freshmen, right? Like Bastian Ekelund and Jason Villalobos from Otterbein, goalkeeper, right? Like I like looking at, otherwise we could be picking seniors and grad students, so I try to avoid that. It makes no fun. So anyhow, hey, January 1st, I hope you had a wonderful New Year's. Head's not pounding too bad. Looking forward to 2025. By all means, subscribe, like, all that stuff. But more importantly, if I'm missing something or you think I'm nuts, by all means, comment down below. Try to answer everything I can. And yeah. Happy New Year, and see you again soon. And yes, in case you're wondering, I am working on my women's list. I wasn't able to complete it in time. So, but be on the lookout for that as well. Also in January, I have some really great interviews lined up already from some new schools that I haven't spoken to coaches before. So, looking forward to that. But in the meantime, if you need anything, by all means, give me a shout. And, I'll see you on the next one.